Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sophie. I have a doctorate in literature, which means I get very emotionally invested in the shows that I'm watching. So if you like a reactor that talks about symbolism, character development, and themes, then you're definitely in the right place. So why don't you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video? Today, we're reacting to episode 5 of Monster. Last episode, we finally learned who the monster was, which is Johan, but I caught that all along. The police are still investigating into the murders of the two doctors and the director. They're still looking at Temba as the culprit behind their deaths, which makes complete sense because if somebody just showed up and was like, hey, you know that kid that disappeared, that also had a brain injury, whose parents were also murdered, and his sister was also traumatized? Yeah, it was him. He confessed. He showed up again as an adult. It's actually him that's been doing all these murders. You wouldn't believe him because all the evidence, which there's not a lot of evidence existing other than the candy and that the way in which they were poisoned is very strategic. And the fact that Tema knew exactly what poison it was the minute it was mentioned, he was like, oh, was it this? That kind of is a red flag. If you were looking at someone as a potential culprit for a crime, Temba is kind of hitting all the red flags. His behavior, his knowledge of the poison, the way that it reacts with the body in the police's mind, because we have information that the police doesn't have, almost trying to redirect the investigation because again, he's just shown up to be like, yeah, it was Johan, this child, he did it, and then he's been killing all these old people, but then also confessed it to me, but let me live. It seems really dodgy. It doesn't line up. So of course they're going to be like, what the fuck? No, that didn't happen. That's not true. Temma also benefited from the deaths of these three individuals. His career has gone on the up and up. There's no limits to how high he can go. But the issue that now arises is Temma knows that Johan is the one that's involved. Temma is now going to be obsessed with finding him because, of course, he's not going to be going by Johan. I'm curious because, again, I've talked about this before. So, with serial killers, it's important to remember that there are two unique aspects to them, which is modus operandi and signature. Modus operandi is how they kill. This changes because you have to think about if they are murdering someone and either the victim survives that attempt or the killing draws too much attention, then they're going to change it up. They're going to make sure that they learn from that and next time they are more successful. So the modus operandi never stays the same if the killer is actually good, because it's to make sure that they're successful in eluding suspicion and getting away with it. Whereas you have signature, which does not change because the signature is the psychological aspect of why they're killing. So it's what fulfills that emotional need for them to kill. So you could almost look at it as like a calling card. Like, why would a serial killer do it? So it can be for like sexual gratification, it can be control, it can be power, but it is consistent. There is a reason behind it that is psychologically evident. So if you look at someone like Ed Kemper was obsessed with killing co-eds. His mother basically told him that he would never be successful with any of the co-eds because they were too pretty for him. So then it became about controlling them, about fulfilling not only that sexual gratification, but also getting one over on his mother. It's about the control and the power that comes with it. So that was Kemper's signature. He targeted specific women to fulfill a specific need. Again, we see that with Ted Bundy, we see it with Jeffrey Dahmer. There is a signature behind their actions. Whereas how they kill, the modus operandi, changes. The signature never does because it's the reason behind their actions. It's why you see a pattern with serial killers on who they target. It's always within the same racial demographic, within the same age range, within the same appearances, because that's tying into the psychological drive to kill. Their targets fulfill a psychological need, desire, fantasy, whatever. That's why all the targets are the same. So Johan's target so far, his signature has been middle-aged couples who don't have children, and it's kind of been alluded to that they're potentially not his actual parents, but we don't know more as to whether that's true or not. There's just been little aspects of dialogue that have made me think they're not his parents. It's just been very odd. But that's who he's been targeting. But I wonder if we're going to see him maybe change his signature somewhat, but it may not even be changing his signature. So if he's targeting middle-aged couples, he could then start targeting girls that maybe look like his sister or are around his sister's age, almost as if his signature is about harming those who he believes have harmed him, which is his family. It's almost as if he's wanting to have power over his family, and the only way that he can do that is by targeting those who are alike to his parents, because I don't believe they're his parents, and then his sister. His sister hurt him by pulling away, and his parents, we don't know why he would want to target people alike them, but I think his signature could be to do with fulfilling sort of this psychological, emotional need when it comes to family, and that he's targeting people that are similar to the parents, but then he could move to targeting people that are similar to his sister and maybe people who are similar to himself, almost as if he's wanting to harm those that he believe have harmed him, almost as if he gets gratification from killing what he believes are extensions of his family dynamic. Who knows? But without further ado, we're going to get into episode 5.
1968年のシュトゥットガルト事件における判決の基準となったものは何かね。おやおやこの静けさ、ここは東洋の禅寺かね。
He's got very funky eyebrows. They kind of like
君の答えを聞きたいものだね。
いや、それはその。
さあ、誰かこの沈黙を破る者はいないのかね。
Oh, she's about to by opening the door, isn't she? Oh, there's nothing worse than being late to a lecture.
すみません、クローネッカ教授。
さて、席に着く前に質問しよう。君はシュトゥットガルト事件の判決の基準を述べる体力は残っているかね。
She's gonna know it, so even though she's late,
はい、それは
she's
被告人は
clued in.
誘拐そのものが狂言であり、被害者の死亡はあくまで事故であると主張しました。現状の状況を吟味した結果、殺害については確かに事故によるものであると認定されました。よって殺人には故意がなければならないとの根拠から懲役15年の判決が下されたものと思われます。
結構だ。着席したまえ、ニナ・ホルトナー君。
はい、教授。
Is this the twin? She looks like the twin. So it looks like perhaps if she has recovered from her little breakdown, she's training to be a lawyer. It may not be her, but I don't know. It's eerie how similar she looks. She also would be the same age.
大恩人のニナに何かご馳走しなくちゃ。今日はいいだろう、ニナ。俺と二人っきりで。
ごめんペーター、今日はサークルのある日だから。じゃあね。
また振られたな。
I have a really horrible feeling something bad's gonna happen to her. Because it's either Johan's sister or it's someone that looks like Johan's sister and is about to become a target for Johan's killing spree. Which would tie into the signature of it being about family and that emotional connection.
大変だ。配達遅れるとまた店長に大目玉だ。イエーイ。
Cute.
ただいま。お腹すいた。
もうお隣に聞こえるわよ。
Okay, so it's
年頃
not
なのに
his
みっとも
sister
ない
because she
手洗っ
has...
てらっしゃい。
But she looks so alike Johan, it's not even funny.
もう髪染めた？
似合うでしょ。
まったく いい年してそんな金ピカに染めて。
そんなことないよパパ、素敵じゃない。
Yeah, you stick up for your
じゃあ
mom.
るまいし。
ママがいつまでも若いっていいことじゃない。ただいまパパ。
私も子供の時ああいう仮装したかったな。すっごく可愛いんだもん。
ああ、仮装ならしたわよ。ねえ。
Oh,
そうだそうだ。
is it Johan's
こ
sister?
の辺よ。あったあった。これよこれ。
本当だ。
その時あなたはしゃいで
But
大騒ぎ
they
してた
had
のよ。
someone
Ne,
maybe
Papa.
take her in and they're
Oh,
pretending
sort of.
to be her parents. Maybe they lost a child and are like raising her as their own. It is Johan's sister because she's like, oh, I don't remember wearing these costumes because she had like that emotional trauma and amnesia. I think when they ran away, perhaps Nina was raised by this family.
春を待ちわびる私、ハンナ。もうハンナったらいい加減失恋から立ち直りなさい。君に世界で一番美しい花を贈ろう。君を花で埋め尽くすために僕は生まれた。
ははーん、なかなかやるじゃないペーター。
あれから調子はどうだね、ニナ。
I think this is Johan's
おかげ
twin,
さまで元気です、ガイテル先生。
それはよかった。
but because of the trauma, she doesn't remember a lot of her childhood, and they're thinking,
あの夢はもう見
oh,
なく
we
なっ
can
た
just
のかい？
pretend to be her
闇の
parents,
中か
and
ら
they
現
maybe
れるモン
adopted
スター
her.
の夢は。
It
最
is,
近は
it's
夢
his
見て
twin
る暇もな
sister.
いぐらいぐっすり眠っちゃって。
学生の時期は誰でも不安定になるものさ。
Because they were so kind of nervous when she mentioned about the outfits, and then when she
自分
saw
が
the
何
outfits,
者
she
であ
was
るの
like,
かわからなくなる。
mm.
でも
And you can't
自
see
分
her
が何
face,
者である
so
かなんて一生かかってもわからないんだ。一生かけてそれを見つけていくつもりで、今は将来に向けてやれるだけのことをやるだけなんだ。
はい、私頑張ってます。将来は検事になりたいんです。
imagine being a public prosecutor and your brother's a serial killer. That's the twin sister. Because it's talking about how like you can spend the rest of your life wanting to know who you truly were. And that's kind of how she
あ
feels.
の
Like
明
it's
るさは
very
何かから逃げ
disjointed.
ようとする反動のように思えてならない。
Something she's running away from, and she talks about a monster in the darkness that she was having nightmares about.
え
Yeah.
じゃないわよ。と
Mm-hmm.
ぼけちゃってペーター。
I think that
だ
email
から
is
何の話
Johan.
だよそれ。そんな言葉逆立ちしたって俺の頭から出てこないよ。
じゃあ誰？私のメールアドレス友達にしか教えてないのよ。
Johan.
さあな。
Your brother.
分かったのはまた
But you
俺の
probably
恋の
don't
ライバル
know
が
is
増え
your
たって
brother.
ことだけさ。
Kind of weird if that is Johan to be like, I was born to blanket you in flowers. It is romantic in intentions, but we know that he cared
二人の子
a
供を
lot
紐で
for
考
his
察してい
sister.
る。さて、この後半
her
の記録
face.
から裁判官の判断を解説願おうか。質問の内容がわからない
Two
のか。
children.
いえ、この後半の焦点は
It's gonna trigger something in her memory.
以下
Yep.
3冊の
This is her.
ニナでも答えられない時がある
It's
の
not
かい
that. It's triggering her past that she's been trying to subconsciously run from without realizing.
ニナ
So how did she end up with
ニナ
these parents? Is the question. Did she end up in like a foster home or something? But I imagine they lost a little girl that kind of looked like Nina,
先生の
and
話
then
で
they took her in and then have been pretending
一家惨殺猟奇事件の
that
こと
she's
か
always been theirs biologically, that she was never adopted because she may have had amnesia.
なんだ気の強いやつと思ってたけど
So they thought
案外
that they
デリ
could
ケートなん
just
だな
move one daughter onto another, but she knows that something's not right. It doesn't line up. Like her memories aren't aligning with the memories of her childhood that these parents are proclaiming.
記憶ないの。
See?
10歳以前の記憶がないの。
How did she end up here is the question. Did Johan also go through adoption with another family? Or did he drop her off somewhere and left?
ご夫婦ともとてもいい方だったわ。あんな殺され方するなんて。え、子供？はあ、そういえばいたわ、男の子が
Did
一
the
人。
email give her some
確かミハエル
indication?
って子よ。2年ぐらい一緒に暮らしてたわ。
男の子いたっけな、そんなの。
いま
Was there a
した
boy?
よ。ミ
Oh,
ハイルだっけ
what?
14歳ぐらいの子。
ミハエルね。いたような気がするな。
No one
で、
seems to know
何？
who he is.
あんた警察？
確かにその子は私のクラスにい
Okay,
ま
so
し
this is
た。
the child that keeps
でも、
changing
本
identities,
当に印象の薄い子で、お恥ずかしい
flying
話です
beneath
け
the
ど、よ
radar,
く覚えてないんです。友達もいた
which
の
is
かどう
Johan.
か。
Michael and
それ
Johan are
に
the same
記録も
person.
残ってないんです。実は6年前に火事で焼けてしまって。
Of course there was. Temba's investigating into his other identities.
そしてミハエルの本当の名は
ヨハンか。そういう名前の時も。
Has he just been killing every family they've ended up
誰
with,
なん
or
だお前は。だがそれを知って何になる。
so they were split up, but he probably did that intentionally in order to ensure they weren't found.
何をやってるんだ僕は。
This is crazy. It's so interesting how Johan's going on to be a serial killer,
そうだ、妹は。双子の妹はどこへ。
and his twin is becoming a public prosecutor.
誰なの？もうすぐ迎えに行くって。どういうことなの？
Your brother.
殺されたハイナウ夫妻が男の子を養っていたんですね。どんな子ですか？
Okay,
どんな子って。
insane.
ずいぶん前の話
So
よ。
his foster parents
それ
died.
も1年ぐらいしか一緒に暮らしてなかったし。男の子一人よ。とにかくもうあのご夫婦の事件は忘れたいの。あの時は引っ越そうかと思ったぐらいなんだから。
He's following the threads. He's getting little pieces of
この子
information.
のことだったら知ってるよ。
Oh,
上がりなさい。ちょうどお茶を入れるところだ。
mysterious figure. Tell us more.
おかけなさい。
はい。お邪魔します。私は。
おかけなさい。
He's like, I don't care who you are. I'll tell you. I'll give you as much information as you need.
あんた医者だろ？あの子から聞いてるよ。あんたドクター天馬だろ。
What else did he tell you? The signature still for Johan is parents.
まさか白い馬に乗った王子様が迎えに来る
I
なん
hope
て
they're
思っ
not
てる
gonna
んじゃ
do
ない
a
でしょう
weird,
ね。
like, incestuous
羨ま
thing.
しい？
That, like, he shows up and tries to, like, charm her romantically
君を花で
instead
埋め
of
尽くす
telling
た
her
め
the
に
truth
僕は
that
生ま
they're
れた。
twins.
今時そんな言葉遣いする子なんて
That would be
ないわよ。
weird as fuck.
あ、
あんた命を救ってくれた親以上の存在だとね。
彼は何と名乗っていましたか？
フランツ。しかし本当の名前ではないと言ってた。どこからともなく現れたフランツは、向かいのフラットに住む子供のいないハイナウ夫妻に1年間養われていた。そしてある日突然姿を消した。
And they were dead,
彼
right?
は非常に頭が良かった。礼儀も心得ていた。ここの椅子に座り、彼はひたすら勉強を続けた。私の教える英語とフランス語をみるみるうちにマスターしていった。
Very
姿を
high
消す頃には
IQ.
どちらも完璧に操れるように
Jeez,
なっていた
okay.
よ。
So he could really
たった
just go
12歳
anywhere.
の子がね。
Blend in with
他
anyone.
に彼のことで思い出すようなことは。
よく私の話すことに聞き入っていたよ。彼が特に興味を示したのは何の
One's
話
about you
だと思う
killing
ね
people when you were in the army.
私は第二次大戦中、海軍で U ボートに乗っていた。彼がことのほか好んだのは、我々が連合軍の駆逐艦に攻撃された時の話だ。水圧できしむ艦内で我々はひたすら恐怖に耐えた。我々がこの世の地獄から生還したのは38時間後のことだっ
He
た。
probably feels like he lived a
普通の
similar
子供なら
experience
冒険団としてこの話を楽しんだろう。
that he came
し
back
かし彼は
from.
違った。彼が最
Near
も
death.
興味を示したのは恐怖だよ。
he wants to strike
究極の
terror
恐
into
怖
the hearts of
死の
people.
淵に立っ
That's
た
why he
人
wants to be
間
seen
が
as
ど
a
んな
monster.
反応を示すのか彼の興味はそれだけだった
Is this because he was on the edge
恐
of
怖を
death?
もて遊んでいた
So now he wants to relive and recreate that in other people? Is that the signature?
彼はどんな表情でその話を？
目を輝かせて笑みを浮かべていただろおそらく
So not normal behavior.
私は目が見えないからね
Oh.
私はあの子の本当の名前も知らなければ顔さえも知らないというわけだ彼は誰にも心を許したりはしないあの子が本当に心を許したのはただ一
His
人
sister.
妹だけだ20歳になったら迎えに行くと言っていたよ
どこへ？
ハイデルベルクだ
So he knew where she was all along. It's kind of sad that he's going to ruin this idyllic life that she's had the opportunity to live after everything she's gone through with her parents being murdered, parents, in front of her eyes. And yeah, she doesn't remember it, but
ソロだな
でも
she
決め
thought
てたじゃないか
she would have another
20歳の
chance,
誕
another
生日になった
time.
ら言おうってあの子
She's not going to come
は私
back
たちの子じゃないっ
Yeah.
て
because Johan's coming for her. Not biologically, but she is your kid. You've raised her since she was 10 years of age. Now her brother's about to destroy all of it. Ruin her life entirely. I mean, he's already ruined her life, but he's going to ruin it even more. Oh, the music is so eerie.
見て来た来た
どうもニナ・フォルトナさん
はい
僕オットー・フーベルマンと言います
Okay, it's not Johan. Or is this someone he sent on his behalf? There's Johan. Watching. Surveying. She's like, I know you from somewhere.
見たこと
Your twin. Oh my god. I wonder if, because she's hit her head, if it'll trigger memories of her past.
ちょっとしっかりしてニーナしっかりしてニーナちょっと
Okay, so he knew where she was all along, which means I think he had a hand in placing her where she is. So she has no memories before the age of 10 because of the trauma of everything that she's gone through. She's been living with this couple who have pictures of a baby, which is obviously not Nina, but they've clearly lost a little girl and are replacing that loss with a daughter that looks vaguely similar. They're replacing a loss with Nina, and then they agreed that when she was 20 and she was old enough, they would tell her the truth that she's not their child. She is their child, just not biologically. They've raised her for 10 years. Of course, she's their kid. They love her like a child, and she sees them as her parents because she doesn't know anything else. But you could see the indications where she was looking at the picture of the child in the costume. She was like, this doesn't feel right. There's no emotional ties. And yes, she has no memories, but she kind of still feel if something's wrong or right. And I say that because she sees Johan and she instantly is like, I know you from somewhere. There is something pulling me to you. Likewise, when she's looking at that picture, she has this really confused, disgruntled look because, again, something doesn't line up with how she feels. When they're talking in class about the two children and murders, she begins to panic and become overwhelmed because, again, she doesn't know what she's running from, but psychologically, there's something buried in the recesses of her mind that her mind is trying to protect her from and has blocked it out. It's a trauma response. It's a way of ensuring that the child can continue to function without having to remember the pain and the severity of what they've experienced. Again, this is how you end up with people having multiple personality disorder. Again, it is formed in childhood, it is a trauma response, it's a way of protecting the subconscious from further damage, further harm. She doesn't have multiple personality disorder, but it's almost like her brain's working in a similar way of the memories are there, but they're in the deep, darkest recesses. She can't quite grasp them. She can't get to them because her mind doesn't want her to, because it would wreck her completely. It wants her to be safe, happy, healthy, and she has been so far. Whereas if she remembers this information, it may then result in her going into the same shock that she experienced as a child. Likewise, she talks about there being like a monster in the darkness that she's running from. We also know that she had a severe reaction to Johan when she was reunited with him as a child. So I think he's the monster in the darkness that she's trying to run from. We also got some indications into Johan and his obsession with fear and bringing people to the brink of death, that he wants to see that fear relived. And that's because he was on the brink of death. He may not have known that fear because he was unconscious. And when he awoke, he was out from that. So it's almost as if he's trying to relive that experience by seeing it in the eyes of others. But he's still targeting parental figures because they line up with his idea of his parents. So the signature still aligns in terms of it's to do with fear, but then the parental aspect is because he's recreating something there. He's punishing people that remind him of his parents, almost as if maybe, you know, when he initially killed the is it the Lieberts? It wasn't about them, but maybe about their biological parents. Because he's been going on to kill foster parents. He's now still killing middle-aged couples. He killed the Lieberts. I'm fully convinced he killed the Lieberts and then staged his own shooting to make it look like someone had murdered him to deflect from himself. But I think maybe their biological parents were perhaps abusive, or he resents them for not raising them, that there's some like parental issue at the heart of all of this, that the reason he targets people that would be his parents' age is because he's wanting to punish his parents. But also the fear aspect is recreating what it is to be on the brink of death because he has experienced that himself. He's recreating those emotions. But poor Nina, this life that she's lived is a lie and it's about to be destroyed by her brother. But his messages are very sort of weird, like almost romantic in nature. And I'm scared that they're going to start making it almost be incestuous. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping it's just like this very intense bond between twins. But yeah, the fact that other people were reading it romantically, I don't think I'm bizarre for thinking that. But Tenma is getting little threads here and there. He now knows where the sister's location is. But I think by the time he gets to Nina, Johan may have already intervened and she won't be there. And he'll be trying to pick up again her trail and Johan's trail. This is very exciting. But at first I thought when I saw her was like, oh my gosh, she looks like Johan. Maybe he's going to change up his operation slightly. He's going to start targeting people that look like his sister, and he's recreating this family dynamic that he's wanting to hurt people that remind him of his family. And then there were instances where she was seeming really disconnected from the childhood that they said that she had. And then there was talk about the monster. And I was like, nah, that's his twin sister. It has to be. Oh, this is so exciting. I can't wait to see the next episode and to learn more, but we're getting a little bit more context into Johan, how Johan functions, that he likes fear, but we still don't have all the pieces to make any more logical conclusions as to why he's doing all this, other than it's to do with fear and his parents. But I think that's all I want to say for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. Until next episode, bye!